Welcome to the Wild Medicine Podcast. My name is Tarani, the owner of earthly.com, a sacred path to inner healing, self-discovery, and creativity. I am an energy healer and professional artist ready to reweave ceremony and heart-centeredness into humanity. Wild Medicine is a podcast to hold sacred space to learn the ancient ways of wellness. We talk about anything from spiritual alchemy to astrology and even trauma transmutation. It is my mission to educate you on the wild medicines of our world and to show you the way to unleash your personal power. This podcast is full of episodes with both just me and plenty of our powerful guests. Each episode we will bring to you the medicines of story, knowledge, and transformation. Now is our divine time to step into this sacred space and to take in all the powerful knowledge that I have for you today. Sit back, relax, and always tune in. Take what you need and leave whatever does not serve you. It is my honor to bring this message forth for you. Please enjoy. Blessings and greetings to all of you out there. Tarani here. I am beyond grateful to be welcoming back another episode on the Wild Medicine Podcast. This week's episode is truly wonderful. I got to sit down with Kayla from Keeper of Keys and talk about all things intuition related. We shared our experiences of growing into our intuition and the different situations that can arise that teach you about how to follow your intuition, as well as how that looks with our relationships and showing up as that person who is ready to reveal their truth, their authenticity, and step into the role of being a guide for others. It's really honestly a powerful conversation, and I really hope that it hits you guys just right and gives you some messages that maybe you've been needing to hear. Right now I'm sitting in my studio feeling so grateful. It's a rainy day. There's cleavers growing outside my window. There's been birds chirping, and I'm going to be real with you guys right now. I have a smoky quartz sitting in my lap that is the size of a newborn child, and it feels so good. I just got back from Tucson Gem Show, stocked up on some powerful crystals. I was able to meet new miners and people in the crystal industry and actually get to sit down and talk to them and make sure that they are sourcing them ethically, which is extremely important to me. As an energy healer, especially if I'm working with tools, I want to make sure that they have clean karma. So going out to these gem shows and meeting the miners and purchasing from people directly in person rather than buying bulk online feels so much clearer, and I'm actually able to connect with these crystal spirits directly and know who wants to come home with me and who is ready to be adopted and worked with for energy healing purposes. So it was really magical. I'm grateful to be nestled back home here in Houston, working on some big projects and opportunities, and sitting down to record this episode today was just really nice. I feel like I've been on the go a whole bunch, so sitting down and just talking about Reiki and energy healing was truly relaxing, and it's one of my favorite things to do, to just sit down and talk with somebody and share stories, and the fact that I get to do that through this podcast really, really enhances my life, and I am incredibly grateful for it. So thank you to all of you listeners out there who continue to channel your energy and support into this podcast. It makes a huge difference, and it's something that is truly healing in my life, and I know that if it's healing for me, it's also healing for you guys. So thank you so much to all the supporters out there. Wow. If you have been listening to this podcast, if you're new to it, I invite you to leave a review on any platform that you listen to and share your thoughts, your experiences, connections that you've gathered from this podcast, because it really helps a lot. I really want to get more guests onto the podcast, and the more reviews we have, the more I'm able to reach out to people and say, hey, look, these are my listeners. This is what they have to say about the podcast. Come and share your magic with us. So just sit down for a second, send it out, and then if you do, send me a screenshot and I'll gift you a surprise. I love you guys so much. Thank you for tuning in. And I wanted to, one last thing, let you guys know that I am opening a new opportunity to work with me. And this is a mentorship. So I am stepping into the role of really allowing myself to be available to you guys as a spiritual coach. I've worked with a few people individually, and I'm now have the experience to having built a program that I found really works well with people that I've worked with in the past, and its name is the 3 Moon Mentorship. So together over the course of 3 moon phases, we will work together on any sort of thing that you're wanting to build in your life, whether that is a business or a specific trauma that you're healing from, or you're wanting to rebirth a new version of yourself. We will see that goal, meet you where you're at, come up with an action plan, and work together one-on-one to manifest this into your reality. And I'm going to guide you and teach you how to use the power of the moon phases, the new moon, quarter moon, last quarter moon, full moon, all of these different phases of the moon cycle to activate and manifest your life and bring you the cleansing and clearing that you need to step into this role that you're wanting to manifest. And the only way I can do this is by working one-on-one with you. So if you're interested, definitely check it out on my website. Under Work With Me, you'll find the Sacred Mentorship tab. And the beautiful thing about this mentorship, and I'm grateful to have the opportunity and space in my life to provide this for you guys, is that I'm offering it on a sliding scale. This feels really good for me. Some people out there who are coaches and whatnot might be like, what the heck? But honestly, it feels good to me to be able to do a sliding scale program. And so the sliding scale is from $200 to $400. Of course, you can meet me wherever you're at, and I will meet you there, and we will do the work that we can do together in that price range. With this mentorship, we are going to work one-on-one through calls, and we're going to do that once every moon on the moon phase. So we'll have a meeting on the new moon, the full moon, the first quarter moon, and the last quarter moon. And then with each call, we're going to dive into the different aspects that we're working with during that phase. And then also, I'm going to share with you a personalized ritual that I invite you to practice, and as well as we're going to be working on distance healing sessions. So this is available to anybody anywhere in the world. If you're in Texas, yeah, we can work together, of course. But if you're not, of course we can work together. We have the internet and we have cell phones, so I'm excited to use this tool to help you guys in a much deeper way. This is a 3-month program, and because I am holding it as a dedicated space, I am only taking on 5 people. So if you are interested, go to my website now, check it out, fill out the form, let me know what your budget is, and let's set up a free consultation to make sure that this is a good fit. The doors will close on March 9th, and so we have about a month to get signed up, and then the next round will be after that cycle's done. So this is going to be a continued program that I'm going to be working with to help you guys and guide you guys into the next phase of your life that you're wanting to birth forth. It's going to be powerful. Working with the moon phases is something I've been doing for many, many, many years in my own personal development, my business development, healing my childhood traumas, working with my family and my relationships. The moon has really been my guide and my compass for all the healing work that I do. So I'm excited to teach you guys this ritual and this subtle practice. All it takes is just knowing what this moon stands for and digging into your life and figuring out how it's showing up, and not just seeing that or recognizing it, but actually listening to it and taking necessary actions to facilitate the change that the moon is asking you to bring forth. So I'm excited. Yay. If you have any more questions, feel free to reach out. But yeah, each person that sends me a form and is interested, we're going to do a free consultation to make sure that this is a right fit, because this is an intensive program. I want to make sure that you're ready to do the work. Otherwise, we can also do readings, intuitive readings. There's different things that we can do, but this is really for those of you out there that are ready to make those changes, that are ready to work one-on-one with me for an extended period of time to bring that rebirth forward. So yeah, without further ado, let's go ahead and get into this podcast. Thank you guys for listening to that, and I'm excited to see who I'll be working with for the first phase of the 3 Moon Mentorship. All right, let's dive into the podcast, and blessings, you guys. Hello, Kayla. Welcome to the podcast. I would love to begin with you just sharing a little bit about who you are and what has led you to be where you are today.
Hello, Taranae. I'm so happy to be here. And first of all, before I get started, I want to say thank you for the work that you do in this world. You're
Mhm.
absolutely amazing, and it's so well needed right now. So, my name is Kayla Paradis, and I'm a yoga teacher in New Brunswick, Canada. And I'm also an intuitive healer. And I work with women to explore their intuition, connect to their intuition, and navigate spiritual awakening. And the reason why I do this is because it's a big part of my story and what unfolded for me. Before I got into energy healing and working with my intuition, I was working at a mutual funds company. And so eventually I had my babies and I became a stay at home mom. And after my third baby, she was a big baby, she was a breech baby. So I had to have a C section.
Mm.
And as a result, the recovery was totally different. And it's one of those things, it's one of those like moments in life where you know everything changed and shifted for a reason because she's my third baby. So the first two, after having them, I would jump right back into, any kind of busy sort of physical exercise just to drop the baby weight. And that was, that was my mentality back then. But this time, because it was a C-section, recovery was totally different. So I started getting into yoga and I started practicing from home every day. And throughout the process, I was just amazed at all the things that started to come through for me. I was starting to have these experiences on my yoga mat. And it was connecting me to something that I couldn't explain. It was like so much greater than me. And eventually I ended up taking my Reiki training.
Mm.
And this wasn't that long ago that I took my Reiki training. It would be just about 2 years ago. And I really believe that, the combination of yoga and then also my Reiki training really unlocked something within me. And, I do believe that we're all intuitive. I do believe we all have these gifts, but I think that in our society and the way we live, it's really not always easy to tap into that as a mother. And that's how I was living before. I was always busy and, kind of just chasing my tail and
Mm.
all of the things that come with motherhood. But then, through this, it's been a huge eye opening experience. And I don't know about you from your experience when you took your Reiki training, but we spent a good portion of the time in meditation.
Mm-hmm.
And that was something that I never thought I could do as a mother of three. And when I did try to meditate, it was just for a few minutes here and there. And so when I had the opportunity to sit and meditate for hours at a time, I was just like, wow, this is connecting me to something so surreal that I cannot even explain. And I remember coming home from my Reiki training and just feeling like a whole other person. And and then after that was like I started to see things. I started to feel things and hear things in a whole different way, like I never had before.
Mm-hmm.
And I started to just play around with doing card readings with people. And then it was becoming very clear that my intuition was working through me during those sessions, and the readings were becoming more and more accurate, more and more powerful, transformational. And from there I started to see my own clients and doing own sessions, and it's been growing and building from there. And I feel like I owe all of it to listening to my intuition.
Mm-hmm. I'm right there with you. I got my Reiki certification, I think, in 2014. And I remember that feeling too of meditating became much simpler. And I think there is something special in the way that the attunement activates you to be able to drop into that space and just slow down. And you realize that it's not so much of this like out there practice that seems a little intangible or something you have to really work hard for, but in fact it's much simpler where you can just slow down and allow, energy to channel through you. And I feel like Reiki really tapped that in for me. So thank you for bringing that up, because I was like, oh my gosh, dude, I totally remember that feeling.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. And I remember getting home and like just going for a walk. And this is something I had always done. Like I would go for a walk just to like take some time for me.
Mhm.
And it was after my training, and I started to actually like see vibrations coming off of insects, and just feeling the energy of the earth. And I was in the closet about this for so long. And if anybody is listening to this and they're like experiencing those things and they don't know what to do or what it means, just hang in there and don't be afraid of it. That's the biggest thing. And as I started to open up to it more and understand it, it's just become this major catalyst for growth.
Mm.
I feel like, our intuition allows us to tune into our organic timelines for our highest version of ourselves. Like so many people these days are interested in personal growth and how they can become a better person and achieve their goals and things like that. But a lot of times what they're tapping into are sometimes more artificial timelines, because they're approaching it from the influence of others, whether it's social media or what maybe their teacher thinks they're good at and different things like that. But what your intuition allows you to do, it allows you to connect to your own organic timelines that serve like the best possible version of yourself.
Yeah, I totally agree. And I really think the intuition has such a powerful piece in there, because it's our inherent nature. And I would love to hear more about what intuition means for you. Like, how do you feel that? How do you experience that? Because I feel like it is different for all of us, but I feel like there is a singularity. So I'm curious to see how you experience it and how you nurtured it as well.
hmm So nowadays, my intuition is infused in every single thing I do. But when I first started out, it was a very quiet, very gentle voice, because I wasn't attuned to it. It was something that, I felt like I was more in tune to it during childhood. But then the whole process of going through the school system, working and, all the things that come with it, I was very out of tune. I wasn't tuned into it anymore. And
Yeah.
so through doing sessions with people, and you start to get these, what I would call like intuitive hits or something like that. So maybe you feel a nudge, it's an intuitive knowing. You just know something that, you can't explain how you know it, but you have a session with someone and you look them in the eye and you can feel like a memory connected to their mother, or, different things like that. So maybe it comes like that, or maybe it comes through your psychic sight. So maybe you get a little vision, almost like a little flash or something like that in your mind's eye, where you see something, or maybe you even hear a whisper, or you get goosebumps, or something, right? Something that you can connect and you kind of piece it all together. And for me, the more you listen to it, the stronger it gets.
Mm, yeah,
The
I
more you
resonate with that.
act on it and you step into the truth of it, the stronger it becomes. And you can't really be an intuitive healer if you're doubting yourself, if you're doubting, the voice, the knowing within you, right? You have to be able to stand into that power and really truly trust it.
I agree. And I always remind my students and people that I work with as well that this is something that takes time to relearn. We've lived multiple generations not knowing or remembering how to follow our intuition, how to feel subtle energies. And it really takes time not only for our bodies and our nervous system to remember what that feels like, but also for our minds to trust that, because for so long, so many years we have been told that it's dangerous, or that it's something outside of you that is bad, or there's been so many stories and over the last hundreds of years that have blocked us, especially women, from being able to fully step into our intuition. That's not just like, oh, I can feel somebody's lying. Like, I feel like that's like as deep as people like to go, or most people like to go when it comes to intuition. But when it comes to really tapping into your energy field and tapping into spirit and allowing yourself to be guided, whether that's actions or telling somebody something that comes through you that you know they need to hear, or a certain road that you need to take, it takes time to regain that tool and ability to allow yourself to fully step into that path. And I love that you said that you have to stop doubting yourself, because that doubt is going to become an immediate blockage. And you know, of course it happens, like we're analytical creatures, but you just have to, you know, cancel, clear, and delete, and step back into that intuition and be like, you know what, I'm getting this for a reason, and I'm just going to keep following it. And I love that
Yes.
when you keep following it, it becomes bigger and bigger and bigger, and your guides and spirits say, hey, she's listening to this, let's use this as deeper medicine for her and all the people that come through her life.
Exactly, exactly. And I love how you mentioned, relearning, because, in ancient times, which might seem like a very long time ago for a lot of us, it wasn't uncommon for a woman or man, any person, to wake up and say, I had this amazing dream last night. I had this vision. This is what happened. And they would trust that guidance, and they would create rituals around that guidance. They would plan their day around that kind of guidance. They would, and we are totally disconnected from that now. And it's like, if a person wakes up and they say, wow, I had this really amazing dream, nowadays it's a different reaction. People are like, oh yeah, and just like kind of fluff it off, and it's not a big deal, but it should be honored and cherished, and it's really a sacred connection that can lead you to all kinds of goodness.
Hmm. And it's so empowering, you know, and I can imagine, I'm not a mother yet. I know I will be one day. And I can imagine how beautiful it feels to be a mom and be able to strengthen that muscle of intuition, not only just for your kids, but also just living as a mother and being able to manage
Mhm.
the day-to-day things that come through you, and feelings and like stress levels and everything, to be able to have that center of gravity that is your intuition, and knowing what is good for you to do, what is wrong for you to do, what ways you can not only serve others through this but serve yourself. So I'd love for you to share on, you know, just a few key ways that following your intuition has really served you in the full scope of your life.
Yeah, absolutely. So first of all, I'll start with career, because that's been a major one for me. Prior to being an entrepreneur and having a spiritual based business, I was the typical assistant, admin assistant. So I worked as an executive assistant for CEOs. I worked as a financial assistant, and I was always the busy person behind the scenes, and not really seen too much, and not heard, just did my work, and that was it, that was all.
Mhm.
But now that I'm an entrepreneur and I use my intuition in my business, I'm able to really grab it by the reins and direct it in the way that it needs to go. And by following my intuition, again, it just becomes this huge catalyst of always knowing what's the right pivot, what's the right step for me, and doing things that are coming from aligned spiritual action is huge. And you're always supported, like you'll always have this growth happening, you'll always be blossoming if you follow that instead of following the fear. And in terms of motherhood and relationships, like in my family life and things like that, my intuition has become a huge tool as well. And when we talk about energy work with kids, when we talk about nightmares and the different things that they face, like I have a daughter, she's 7, she's my oldest child. and she'll come home. She is deeply, like, she's probably one of the biggest empaths ever. Like, her heart breaks when a feather drops to the ground. She's just one of those types of people. And so if there's any type of conflict at school, it's heavy for her. Like, it's hard for her to deal with. So I'm able to use my intuition and my energy healing with her, and I help teach her to clear the stuff off her that doesn't belong to her, and really rinse it off, and teach her how to, like, work with crystals and connect to her own guidance. And it helps her so much, because I find that they're just so they're so easily influenced at that age.
Yeah, no, I can definitely imagine because, I think back to my young self, and I can imagine that having a mother who understands energy, because I mean, kids are so clear through the veil, and they experience things so much clearer. And as they grow older, they're taught that to just let that go and to just, stumble through. And I can imagine how amazing it is to be a mother and to teach your kid, like, hey, if this is how you're feeling, this is how you can clear yourself off, or this is how you can slow down and allow yourself to understand what you're feeling, or
Exactly.
yeah, I can definitely tune into that, and I think it's really beautiful that you're able to be that source for them. i
Yeah.
definitely i definitely cherish that for sure.
Yeah, and it's like, they'll come home and they'll be upset or something, and they're saying, "Well, I'm feeling this way, and this is what's happening." And then you're able to ask them, like, "Is that how you're really feeling, or is that thoughts spinning around in your head? Like, listen to your heart. What is your heart actually telling you?" And teaching them how to look at it from a different angle. It's helps them so much.
In gratitude and deep, deep love for all of those out there who support this podcast, we wanted to invite you all and let you know that you receive a special discount off of all of our offerings on earthly.com. As a Wild Medicine podcast supporter, you can receive 15% off with the code WILDMEDICINE. This offering of love and gratitude to you all is valid on everything, including our subscriptions, our herbal and botanical elixirs and body oils, our master crystals, and even our courses and online trainings. We hope that you will receive this beautiful offering with open arms and allow it to add ecstasy, bliss, and radiance into your life as you dive deeper into the wild medicine path. It is my honor, and thank you so much for supporting this podcast. Satnam. Definitely. There was one post that you posted today that caught my eye, and you said, just for today, say no to the thing that is draining you. Say yes to the thing that scares you. Say I can to the voices that say you can't, and say follow me to those who can handle your light. So
Mm-hmm.
I think that really sums it up really beautifully with coming into, like, just that energy of being a strong female, a strong mother who follows her intuition. And I wanted to also talk about how it becomes a compass for your self identity and your self worth, not only as in your client practice, but just knowing yourself and knowing what you're capable of. And what kind of things have you gone through learning your intuition, learning your worth, learning how to be an entrepreneur and balancing motherhood and being able to connect with all these energies that you're able to connect to? What hurdles have you come through along the way?
Mm-hmm. Oh, I love that. And thank you for that mention. But one of the biggest things that I've been coming across lately, and I have to go there, I have to bring it up, because Friday is Valentine's Day.
Okay.
So I have to go there. And I just feel like a lot of the clients I've been seeing lately, of course, they're women. Most of my clients are women, and most of them are married women in relationships. And a
Mm,
lot of times they're coming to me lately because they're at their wits' end. They can't take it anymore. They're because there's been this huge shift. There's been this huge mental shift, I feel like, with women, where for so long we have been seeking the approval and just working to please our partner.
mm,
And that has always been the main focus. And now we're starting to tune into, like, no, okay, we need to take care of ourselves. We're more focusing on self-care and personal growth and things like that. And all of a sudden we're experiencing these ego flare-ups, right, that come from the wounded masculine. And I'm not trying to like bash men or anything like that, but what I've realized, and it's been a huge hurdle for myself personally, is that I had to step into a leader in my relationship. And instead of being reliant on my husband to take care of me and lead the way with intuition and with things like that, I need to be the one that leads the way. And I need to guide him to that, because it's probably more harder for men to tune into that for various reasons. But I just feel like now more than ever, the world just needs more women to show their husbands and their partners that it's okay to tune into these things. It's okay to follow your intuition. It's not scary anymore. It's not woo woo. Like this avenue will actually take you to new places, right?
mm,
And so that's been a huge hurdle for me. And I know it has been for my clients as well, where
mm,
they're feeling like they want to explore their personal growth. They want to take things to the next level. And so often their partner is scared or stuck in like that fear-based mentality. And so I think that most women just need to activate that inner light, and just be okay with shining, and knowing that the people that are meant to stay are going to stay, and the people that are meant to go will go.
Yeah, I totally resonate with that, and especially with um, s- the just that pure energy of like wanting to grow and wanting to shine. And of course, we want our partner to meet us there, but sometimes they're not ready. And I have women and people that I work with as well that they will so quickly dim their light or dim their interests or knowing to in a way be courteous to wherever their partner is at and their comfort
Hmm.
levels. And I
Yes.
warn them that it's just not necessary. And I think that the more you shine your light and the more you set your intention of, you know what, this is my truth, this is what I'm feeling, this is where I'm going, whether that's just like, you're practicing your Reiki, or you're wanting to meditate more or do yoga or intuitively work with angels or do tarot readings, these things that are really mystical. And there's a lot of misperceptions out there in the world about them right now, to just do it. And if you set that intention that you're going to do it because it's your truth, and that by doing this, you will improve the vibration and clarity of your relationship and the person that you're connecting with, it will happen. I've totally witnessed it firsthand. And I think that it
Hmm.
all comes into our intention with our intuition, and especially with how we work with people in our lives. Because, of course, like nurturing this layer of ourselves, our intuitive nature, our inner healer for our own lives, it's comfortable and it becomes more graceful the more that you get comfortable with it and the more you learn and you follow that path. But when it comes to the connections with other people in our life, following our intuition and showing up as that person can be a little bit harder. So what
Hmm.
I want to know some advice that you have surrounding that on showing up as this truth, showing up as your authentic self, being an intuitive, being somebody that's in tune. Because like we said before, this is a possibility for everyone. It's
Hmm.
in us all. It's not something that you have to gain, it's something that you remember. So as people are remembering, what advice do you have for them in their relationships in their life, and showing up as this person, no matter who's looking or no matter what perceptions are on you?
Yeah. Oh, I love that. Well, it's about recognizing too that the more you tune into that part of you, you're tuning into, again, I'll mention that organic, highest version of you, that highest timeline available for you. And when you do that, you increase your vibration and you become more of a light and you feel better and you bring more energy to those around you and you create harmony with everybody that crosses your path. And so knowing that, and you're growing your intuition and you're practicing these new things, sometimes there's going to be different things that come up, and just recognizing them for what they are, like be it ego flare-ups or fear, or maybe they're just not a good match for you, whatever it is. But you need to recognize that this is the energy that you need to anchor in. If it feels right for you, if it feels true for you, that is what you need to anchor in. And that's all you need to focus on. Just bring that light in and share it with the people that come across your path. And the people that need to receive it will. The people that want to receive it will. And those that don't won't, right?
Yeah, no, I totally agree. And you just have to be willing to go there and decide that you're the leader of your life, and that by be stepping into that role, I think we're so quick, and I think it has, a lot to do with intergenerational trauma and just, stuff in that nature. That choosing to like be that role in your life, that like you're the one who chooses how you show up, instead of like dumbing yourself down or pushing yourself down to meet other people. Why don't you just show up as who you are, and allow whatever falls away to fall away, and whatever comes that way is going to be a million times better, because it gives you an opportunity to step into a higher version of yourself each person that you meet.
Hmm.
And I always
Yeah,
love to tell,
exactly.
yeah, I always love to tell people it's not as big, bad, and scary as your brain is telling you to be. It is.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. And it can be simple too, right? It's not, you don't have to move mountains or take on the world. Sometimes it's a really simple thing. Like sometimes your intuition will come to you. Like I'll give you an example. I had a dream one night, and this was about a friend that lives provinces away from me. There's the huge time zone difference and everything, and I haven't spoken to her. I hadn't spoken to her for probably 9 months. She was completely off social media. And to be honest, she hadn't really crossed my mind. Like there wasn't anything that reminded me of her recently or anything. But I ended up having this dream of her, and she was pregnant and she was expecting her third baby, and she was showing me her baby belly and telling me some different things that were going on in her life. And I woke up from the dream and I texted her right away. And I was like, hey, I know we haven't chatted for a while, but I had this dream last night and you were expecting your third baby. And she's like, oh my God, I just found out like 2 days ago. Like I haven't
Oh my
even
God.
told anybody. And sometimes your intuition will happen in ways like that, and it's just simple. You're just reaching out to that friend that you haven't talked to in 9 months, but you made that connection. You have that soul connection with that person, and your intuition is saying like, hey, like tell them that tell them you care, and just reach out and say hi.
Yes, I love that example, because that it is just such a natural and organic, simple way. Yeah, a fun little thing that I have to share around it
Hmm.
too is I just got back from a road trip to Arizona in the United States. I live in Texas, and about about three-quarters of the way there, we stopped to fill up for gas, and we were in this gas station pretty much in the middle of nowhere, and I went to the bathroom. And when I was in the bathroom, I just had this like when I walked in and I saw the guy at the front desk area, and I just like he really stuck out to me. And I was like thinking, I was like, why did he stick out to me? Spirit, there has to be something. And my intuition was like, ask him if he's an artist. And I was like, that's such an interesting thing to ask, but I'm just gonna listen and just ask him. And I asked
Hmm.
him, and I was like, hey, are you an artist? And he kind of looked at me and hesitantly said, yeah, I like to make music. And I was like, well, you should keep doing it. I just have a feeling like you should keep doing it. And then
Hmm.
I paid for the gas and whatnot. And then like we went about our lives. And as I was driving, I was like, wow, that was such an interesting experience. And, you never, and that it was just such a little thing that I felt and I followed. And you never know how that can shift somebody's life. Here's this guy,
Mhm.
he looked like he was in his late, 20s, working at a gas station in the middle of nowhere, Texas. And some girl just came up to him and told him he should keep doing his music, you know?
Mhm.
And you never know
Mhm.
how that can shift somebody's life. And that was just something that I intuitively felt like needed to be said to him. And I had the bravery to just open up that conversation and have it be something more than just, hey, how are you? Okay, cool, thank you.
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
I think that,
exactly.
yeah, I think that our intuition has a beautiful ability to deepen our relationship with life, not just on an inner level, but on an outer level. And the people that we connect with, we're able to deepen the connection that we can nurture with others in our life.
Yes, exactly. Exactly. And to bring it back to the partner thing too, like when you have your intuition and you're able to tune into that, and you are having, like, say, a conflict or something, or an experience with your partner, your intuition will kick in and it will tell you, like, this is a fear-based thought, this is not true, and it'll help guide you. Whereas, like, before I was tuning in out of tune in my with my intuition, it was like we would get in an argument or something, and I would just get angry, right? And it just kind of takes hold of you, and I feel like your intuition can just be this grounding, this gentle grounding that can bring you back into that heart-based center again.
I agree 100%. I would love to, as we're rounding into, the closing of our beautiful interview here, I would
Mhm.
love to have you share just a few practices that have helped you nurture your intuition for our guests. So as they're going through this conversation and they're like, wow, that sounds magical. How can I do that? Let's share some practices with them where they can really easily just take even just a few minutes to build this level of intuition within themselves.
Mhm. So, my first tip would be tap into your creativity, whatever that looks like for you. For some people, it's free flowing on their yoga mat. They turn on their music and they're just like flowing to their own energy and how their body wants to move. For other people, they are picking up a paintbrush and they're making a painting. Other people, it's journaling. It always looks different. Maybe it's baking, whatever it is. But tuning into that creativity, you're intuitively inspired when you are working with your creativity. So that is a huge thing that will open up the intuition. And then another thing is, of course, meditation. Meditation is really, really key to tuning into your heart and kind of just becoming aware of your thoughts is the first step, really. And then my other tip would be paying attention to your dreams. And there's so many people out there that, they say they don't dream or they don't remember their dreams. I feel like this is shifting for a lot of people. There's probably a few people listening to this that have noticed over the last probably month or so their dreams have really, really become more vivid, and that's just because of, like, the universal energy and things that are happening. As I heard your recent episode with the February energy, it's totally, totally true. Like, things for 2020, it's totally shifting for a lot of us. So there's probably a few people listening that have noticed that their dreams are getting more vivid. If you feel like you can't dream, you don't have dreams, you don't remember your dreams, before you go to bed, simply just say, I intend to remember my dreams. And when you wake up, just write it down or take mental note before you jump out of bed. Like, this is what I remember, and just take note of it. You don't have to interpret it or analyze it right away. Just take note of it, and you'll start to piece together and recognize that your subconscious and your intuition is working with you through that dream state.
I agree. I think dreams have such a powerful ability to connect us with the hidden realms of our life because there's so much that goes on behind the scenes. And I'm out here in Texas, which is totally the Bible Belt, and my parents are extremely religious, and they my mom doesn't realize that what I'm doing is simply just showing people what's going on behind the scenes of their life. Whatever conflict they're facing, there's a reason for it. And it's not just that you're crazy or that life sucks. It's like, hey, there's outside forces that are, you know, poking at this situation for you to see a deeper level of your life or rebirth a certain aspect of your being. You know, your dreams, like you said, dreams, meditation, journaling, just any creative practice that kind of taps into that space inside of your brain where you let loose a little bit. I feel like you definitely have to let loose and relax and allow yourself to kind of just settle for your intuition to be that driving force. Because if you're trying to control everything, then it's like not able to be that clear, you know.
Mhm,
That's when you
mhm,
start doubting yourself and questioning, as if you're wanting to control. If you just relax and allow yourself to slow down and let go, then the intuition shows up and is able to be that number one force in your life.
mhm, mhm. And we're really trained not to have that happen, and it's kind of it's not always fun when kids come home from school and you see it like in kids of all ages, including teenagers, where they're just always waiting for instruction, or like they don't know what to do with themselves because they're so used to being told what to do. This is the routine, this is your schedule, this is what it looks like. And they become out of tune with themselves, and they sit in front of, like, let's just use the example of art. They sit in front of a blank canvas and they're not sure what to do, and then maybe they're searching for tutorials and things like that. And it's like it's just such a key thing to be able to sit with yourself and be inspired, you
Hmm.
know
Yeah, yeah, and being inspired based off of like what you're feeling within yourself. And I think especially in our
hmm
generation with Instagram and all that kind of stuff, it's really easy to look for inspiration outside of yourself.
hmm
And every day I work hard to honor the inspiration that comes from within myself and the creativity that comes from within, whether that has to do with some kind of emotional freedom that I'm wanting or some kind of artistic creation that I'm desiring. The more we stoke that inner fire to be inspired by our own being, the more pleasurable life feels in my experience.
hmm hmm Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, so beautiful. Thank you for sharing that. One last
Yes.
question that I have is, so I now that you have, you know, you've gotten your Reiki training and you've really deepened this level of intuition in your life, how do you feel those two worlds blending and weaving together? What is that experience for you?
So just to clarify, you mean Reiki and intuition together?
Yeah, because yeah, just like how that blends together, like how you learned this ancient practice of Reiki and then your own intuitive nature, how does that show up to you?
hmm Well, I knew pretty much right after or during the training that my sessions would be different, just because it was like once I got my attunement, things just automatically started clicking on for me. So with Reiki and my sessions that I do with people, I use my intuition hand in hand. So I work with the energy healing. And then also I come like any intuitive hits that I get while I'm doing a session, I just kind of tie it in together. So I'll give you an example. I had a session the other day, and I did the normal hand placements for the Reiki session. I had my hands on the client's jawbone, just above the ears. And I could feel in my hands the energy, first of all. But then I also could hear in my intuition with my psychic hearing, I could hear jaw clenching, stress, hard time sleeping, things like that, right? So then I asked the client right away, like, are you experiencing stress? You're not sleeping well? Are you clenching your jaw while you're sleeping? Things like that.
Mm.
So that's how I kind of tie it in together. And I use it in everything I do. So even for my yoga classes, if there's a person that's trying to get into a certain pose, and I'm walking around the classroom and I'm seeing that they're having a hard time with a certain pose, or maybe they're having some emotions come up, I can kind of guide them and help them through the process easier with that intuitive perspective, where it's like, okay, I know that there's some trauma associated with this, and help them kind of work through it in that way.
Yeah, I totally relate with that. I was curious to see if like we had that similarity because I feel the same way, whether it's classes I'm teaching or private clients I'm working with, or even just going throughout life, Reiki and following your intuition go hand in hand.
Hmm.
I totally agree with that.
Hmm.
It's so nice to meet you on these levels.
Yes, absolutely.
Hell yeah.
Absolutely.
Well, is there anything else you would like to share as we close our session?
Yeah, I just wanted to mention if there's anybody on here that's listening and they want to bring their meditation practice to the next level, maybe you're just starting, or maybe you're just looking to make it more consistent. Or maybe you're looking for that sort of intuitive meditative practice where you're able to sit on your cushion and you have visions, signs, symbols, colors, sensations coming in, and actually being able to decipher and figure out what it means and how it's trying to guide you. I just want to share that I am releasing an ebook all about mastering meditation. And so that will be coming out very soon in just a few weeks. So you can watch my Instagram page for that. My handle is at Parody Practice. And you can also find me on Facebook. And my business page is called Keeper of Keys. And I just want to mention the reason why I named that. And I have to say, just because people are always asking me, why Keeper of Keys? Keeper of Keys is the meaning of my name, Kayla. And I believe that our name meaning has a specific meaning based on our soul purpose. So when I found out that my name meaning was Keeper of Keys, and I was working with people to develop their intuition and to navigate spiritual awakening, I was like, that's it. Like, that makes perfect sense to me, just because I feel like it's not, it's not like, I love doing readings. I love doing sessions and healings with people. But what I really love is I love teaching people how to do it themselves and
Mm,
how to open themselves up so they can use it as a tool in their life, because it's one thing where you're coming to me and you're looking for guidance. Like, I love doing that with people. But when people get to that point where they're like able to tune into it themselves and they feel confident about it, and then they notice those real changes that and transformations that happen in their life, it's magical to me.
I totally resonate with that and 100% agree. Yay! Well, thank you so much for sharing how people can find you. And I definitely think that it's such a powerful offering to give people that tool of learning how to meditate and gather those meditation gifts, because it is something you have to relearn and it does take work. It's not something that just, as much as we wish it's something that would just like poof happen, it's very rare that that takes place. So having tools like an ebook or a course where you can follow along and strengthen that skill at your own pace, I think is very important. So thank you for the work that you do and offering that to our beautiful wild medicine guests.
Oh, thank you.
Yes. Well, such a thank you so much for taking time to speak with me. And I'm excited to see what is going to come from this.
Yes, thank you so much for having me on. It's been an honor and so, so nice to meet you as well.
All right. One last question.
Okay.
What does wild medicine mean to you in your own words?
Oh, that's a great question. Well, I when I hear wild medicine, I automatically think about the medicine that's in nature. So I think about grounding myself in nature and finding like natural herbal remedies and things like that.
Beautiful. Thank you so much for sharing. I agree. Right. All righty. Well, have a beautiful rest of your day. And thank you so much for joining us on the Wild Medicine Podcast.
You too. Thanks so much.
All right. Farewell.
Okay. Bye.
I hope that you enjoyed our podcast together, as I feel like it really touched on the pure magic that can manifest into your life when you step into the role of following your intuition. It creates a huge ripple in every aspect of your life, whether it be relationships, your own inner world, work, or any opportunity that comes your way. Your intuition can play a dominant role in guiding you to the right things at the right time. I am grateful to host this podcast for you all. And while we're on the note of intuitive healing and Reiki healing, I wanted to let you guys know that I have 3 more dates for 2020 intuitive healing and Reiki trainings. This is a powerful course that I am teaching, an intensive 6-hour course in an intimate setting. The next cities I will be traveling to teach energy healing are going to be Miami, LA, as well as New York. You can find out more about this opportunity to learn with me in person on Intuitive Healing and Reiki Healing on earthly.com under the tab Work With Me. I'm so excited to be stepping into this role. I've been teaching Reiki for about 5 years now, and this program that I've built is really, really special because it ties in the ancient tradition of Reiki whilst paying close attention to your own intuitive gifts and healing abilities, connecting you with your guides, your angels, teaching you how to work with crystal healing and sound therapy, and the abundance of modalities that are out there in this world. I want to teach you how to weave them so that you can be the best energy healer possible for yourself, for your families, as well as clients if that is in your desires for the future. So much love. Check it out on earthly.com. I hope you guys enjoy your week. If you like this podcast, be sure to give us a review. And if you're interested on being a guest on the Wild Medicine Podcast, go ahead and send me an email to tyranny@earthly.com, and let's see what you have in store for our listeners. I love you guys. Take it easy. Sat Nam.